What's happening around the world and what's happening here at home? A very good evening to and welcome to Weekend Primetime News. I'm Sandro Ferdinando. Let's take a look at your headlines for tonight.
Heavy retaliation from Iran against Israel. Ballistic missiles target Jerusalem, Tel Aviv and other cities. Iran threatens the US, UK and France if they assist Israel's defense. Israeli defense minister issues strong statement, says Tehran will burn if Iran continues to launch missiles. 10 Sri Lankans stranded while traveling to Israel. Sri Lankan community in Israel advised to stay in safe locations. President meets with Sri Lankans in Germany. Heavy rain forecast in several regions. Marine and fishing communities warned to avoid sea. Sri Lanka's biggest show, The Voice Season 3, reaches grand finale. The ultimate battle of the nation's top singers gets underway.
In our top story for tonight, tensions between Israel and Iran have intensified following Iran's retaliatory strikes in response to targeted attacks carried out by Israel on strategic locations in Iran under Operation Rising Lion. International media reported that the sound of continuous explosions has been heard across major cities, including Jerusalem, Tel Aviv and Tehran.
Israel's airstrikes on Iran yesterday killed several senior officials, including Hossein Salami, chief of Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps. In response, Iran launched approximately 100 drone strikes on Israel, escalating the conflict and disrupting the daily lives of civilians in both countries. Yesterday's Israeli airstrikes in Iran resulted in the deaths of 78 people and injuries to 320 others. Foreign media reported that the majority of those affected were civilians. Among the dead were women and children. Iranian drone strikes on Israel also caused casualties, with foreign media reporting that 2 people were killed and over 40 injured. What is the status of the Israeli airstrikes on Iran? At around 3:30 a.m. yesterday, Israel launched Operation Rising Lion, targeting multiple locations including Tehran, the capital of Iran. International media reported that Ali Shamkhani, senior advisor to Iran's northern regional leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, was among those injured and later died. Israel targeted key locations in Tehran, including the headquarters of the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, resulting in the deaths of several of Iran's top military commanders and nuclear scientists. Among those killed were Hossein Salami, commander of the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, Mohammad Bagheri, considered Iran's highest-ranking military officer and chief of staff of the armed forces, as well as 6 nuclear scientists linked to Iran's nuclear program. Those killed also included former head of the Atomic Energy Organization of Iran, Feridun Abbasi, former president of the Islamic Assad University, Mohammad Mehdi Tehranchi, nuclear engineering head Abdul Hamid Minucher, and professors Ahmad Reza Zulfagari and Sayed Amir Hossein Faki from the Shahid Beheshti University. The main target of this operation was the Natanz nuclear facility, located about 225 kilometers south of Tehran, where a large explosion occurred. Meanwhile, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu stated that the military operation will continue.
Tonight I wish to speak to you, the proud people of Iran. We're in the midst of one of the greatest military operations in history, Operation Rising Lion. The regime, which has oppressed you for nearly 50 years, threatens to destroy my country, the State of Israel. The objective of Israel's military operation is to remove this threat, both the nuclear threat and the ballistic missile threat to Israel. And as we achieve our objectives, we're also clearing the path for you to achieve your objective, which is freedom. In the past 24 hours, We've taken out top military commanders, senior nuclear scientists, the regime's most significant enrichment facility, and a large portion of its ballistic missile arsenal. More is on the way. The regime doesn't know what hit them. They don't know what will hit them. The nation of Iran and the nation of Israel have been true friends since the days of Cyrus the Great. And the time has come for you to unite around your flag and your historic legacy by standing up for your freedom from an evil and oppressive regime. It has never been weaker. This is your opportunity to stand up and let your voices be heard. Woman, life, freedom. As I said yesterday and many times before, Israel's fight is not with you. It's not with you, the brave people of Iran whom we respect and admire. Our fight is with our common enemy, a murderous regime that both oppresses you and impoverishes you. Brave people of Iran, your light will defeat the darkness. I'm with you. The people of Israel are with you.
What is the latest situation regarding Iran's attacks on Israel? Iran's military says that it has launched attacks on 150 targets in Israel so far. However, citing the Israeli Defense Forces, Israeli media have reported that Iran has fired 200 ballistic missiles at their country. Several key strategic military bases, including the Nevatim Air Base and Ovda Air Base, were among the targets hit. The Iranian military states that these military centers, which launched the offensive against Iran, were among the locations attacked. Iran's spiritual leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei has stated that Israel was quote-unquote severely punished with strong strikes. The BBC reported hearing explosions from Jerusalem city and that the sky over Tel Aviv was filled with thick black smoke. Meanwhile, American media reported that a woman in Tel Aviv was critically injured due to the retaliatory strikes by Iran, as confirmed by Israel's ambassador to the United States. Authorities of both Israel and Iran have taken steps to keep their airspaces closed for the time being. However, foreign media reported that the previously closed Jordanian, Syrian and Lebanese airspaces have now been opened. The United States has rejected Iran's allegations that it is involved in Israel's airstrikes against the entire country. This was stated at the United Nations Security Council. Iran's representative, Amir Said Iravani, accused the US of attempting to sabotage diplomacy with Israel, disrupt negotiations and drag the region into a wider conflict. Rejecting these allegations, the United States said that discussions regarding the nuclear program would be wise. US President Donald Trump yesterday stated that he has given Tehran a 60-day ultimatum to reach an agreement concerning Iran's nuclear program. The sixth round of US-Iran talks was scheduled to be held tomorrow in Oman. However, no decision has yet been made about holding the meeting. United Nations Secretary-General Antonio Guterres has called for an immediate halt to the escalation of conflicts. In a joint statement addressing the Israel-Iran tensions, Guterres emphasized the urgent need to end the hostilities triggered by Israel's bombing of Iranian nuclear sites and Iran's ballistic missile attacks on Tel Aviv. He stressed the importance of upholding peace and diplomacy, stating, quote, Israel's attacks on Iranian nuclear facilities and Iran's missile strikes on Tel Aviv have gone too far. The time to stop is now. Peace and diplomacy must prevail, unquote. Meanwhile, European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen said she had discussed the situation with Israeli President Isaac Herzog. She said on her X account, quote, I reiterated Israel's right to defend itself and protect its people. At the same time, preserving regional stability is vital. I urge all parties to act with maximum restraint and work to de-escalate the situation. Diplomatic efforts are crucial to preventing further escalation, unquote. Von der Leyen also urged all parties to exercise maximum restraint and work to de-escalate the conflict. After the establishment of the State of Israel in 1948, many Muslim-majority countries refused to recognize it. Now, Iran, a predominantly Shia country with a long imperial history and established relations with Arab states, was one of the main countries among them. However, although Iran never officially recognized Israel, there was no direct conflict between the two countries for some time. Under the rule of Shah Muhammad Reza Pahlavi, during the Cold War, Iran followed a foreign policy aligned with Western countries and became a key regional ally of the United States. Now in 1958, in a secret meeting, Iran, Turkey and Israel signed a certain agreement. After the Six-Day War in 1967, when many Arab countries imposed an oil embargo, Iran continued to supply oil to Israel. And in return, Israel provided Iran with advanced agricultural and technological assistance. Israeli companies also supported infrastructure development projects across Iran. Due to Iran's strategic importance, it became one of Israel's main oil suppliers. The 1979 Iranian Revolution marked a fundamental break in bilateral relations between Iran and Israel. Now, the overthrow of the Shah and the establishment of the Islamic Republic under Ayatollah Ruhollah Khomeini brought radical changes to Iran's foreign policy. This new Islamic regime viewed Israel not only as a political adversary, but also as an illegitimate and despised state. This can be seen as the origin of the Israel-Iran antagonism. During the 1980s and 1990s, Iran emerged as a principal supporter of militant groups opposing Israel, including Hezbollah in Lebanon and later Hamas in the Palestinian territories. And from that point onward, Iran became Israel's foremost enemy in the Middle East. Despite becoming adversaries, secret bilateral relations between Iran and Israel continued. Together with the United States, Israel even engaged in covert arms exchanges with Iran. In the 1990s, however, Iran's nuclear program led to the termination of these secret Iran-Israel alliances, and the two countries became bitter enemies. Since then, conflicts have sporadically erupted between Iran and Israel, with several powerful countries benefiting from these ongoing tensions. While Iran, armed with nuclear capabilities, perceives Israel as a threat to its existence, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has consistently prioritized a military strategy over diplomatic solutions. According to the International Institute for Strategic Studies, Israel's defense budget significantly surpasses that of Iran. In 2022 and 2023, Iran's defense spending was approximately $7.4 billion, while Israel's defense budget stood at around $19 billion, more than double Iran's expenditure. Israel maintains a fleet of roughly 340 combat aircraft, including long-range strike jets like the F-15s and stealth supersonic F-35s capable of evading radar detection, alongside fast attack helicopters. The core of Israel's defense system comprises the Iron Dome and Arrow missile defense systems. Recently, Israel's Iron Dome successfully intercepted and destroyed over 300 missiles and drones launched by Iran. The International Institute for Strategic Studies estimates that Iran has about 320 attack-capable aircraft. Iran's missile system is regarded as the largest and most diverse in the Middle East. According to foreign media reports, Iran possesses over 3,000 ballistic missiles. Meanwhile, Iran has warned the United States, United Kingdom and France not to help Israel stop Tehran's retaliatory strikes, according to Reuters news agency citing Iranian state media. Reports say that Tehran would target military bases and ships located in the region if the three countries provide support to Israel. Israel's defense minister Israel Katz has said that Tehran will burn if Israel continues to launch missiles. In comments made during an assessment with military officials, Katz said, quote, "The Iranian dictator is turning the citizens of Iran into hostages and creating a reality in which they, especially the residents of Tehran, will pay a heavy price for the criminal attack on Israeli civilians," unquote.
What is the situation of Sri Lankans in Israel? Have any special advisories been issued for them?
Sri Lankan ambassador to Israel, Nimal Bandara, says that 10 Sri Lankans en route to Israel have been stranded at airports in Dubai and Abu Dhabi. The ambassador stated that efforts are underway to assist them through the Sri Lankan Consulate General in Dubai and the embassy in Abu Dhabi. Temporary visas and accommodation are currently being arranged for these individuals. Ambassador Bandara also issued an urgent advisory to Sri Lankan nationals currently in Sri Lanka on vacation from their employment in Israel. He requests requests that they immediately submit copies of their air tickets and valid Israeli visas to the embassy to facilitate any necessary assistance. In addition, he has advised all Sri Lankans planning to return to Israel to postpone their travel until further notice. The advisory also applies to those intending to travel from Israel to Sri Lanka. For any emergencies, Sri Lankans working in Israel are urged to contact the following embassy officials: Deputy Head of Mission at +94 71 844 7305, Labour Welfare Advisor +94 71 683 3513, Second Secretary Labour Welfare at +94 71 974 2095.
Still in news overseas, the death toll from the plane crash near Ahmedabad airport in India yesterday afternoon has risen to 270. Among the deceased are passengers on board the aircraft as well as a group of medical students who were in the hostel that collapsed. Reports say that identification of the deceased is still underway.
24 injured medical students are still receiving treatment. At 1:38 p.m. the day before yesterday, Air India AI-171, a Boeing 787-8 Dreamliner that took off from Ahmedabad airport, crashed into a densely populated area with many buildings, including a doctor's hostel complex. The plane en route from Ahmedabad to London's Gatwick Airport crashed while flying at an altitude of approximately 625 feet. At the time, there were 230 passengers and 12 crew members on board. Indian authorities have informed the families of the passengers to provide DNA samples for identifying the bodies. Several bodies have been handed over to relatives after DNA testing. Many relatives of the deceased are still staying in Ahmedabad awaiting the release of the bodies. Sumit Sabarwal was the chief pilot of the Air India flight AI-171 which faced the unfortunate accident. Within minutes, the pilot had sent a Mayday distress signal to the control tower. However, there was no response from the control tower to the pilot's call. Seconds before the crash, the pilot informed Ahmedabad Control Center that the plane was completely non-functional and had lost control. The message lasted about 5 seconds. He said, quote-unquote, "Mayday, Mayday. No control." Mayday is an internationally recognized emergency distress signal. In this tragic plane crash last Thursday, 241 people, including the crew, were on board. Only one person is reported to have survived. He is Vishwas Kumar Ramesh, a British citizen who was seated at seat 11A. He is currently receiving treatment at a hospital in Ahmedabad. Air India stated that among the passengers there were 169 Indian nationals, 53 British nationals, 1 Canadian and 7 Portuguese citizens. Meanwhile, there are reports of a woman who survived because she missed the flight due to a 10-minute delay in arriving at the airport. Bhumi Chauhan, who was a woman due to fly to London Gatwick Airport on board the ill-fated flight AI-171 that crashed just minutes after takeoff in Ahmedabad, West India. She had come to India for a vacation after 2 years. She travelled from her hometown of Ankleshwar in Gujarat to the airport via highway. Later, she departed for England but arrived 10 minutes late at Ahmedabad due to severe traffic congestion.
मैंने उनसे रिक्वेस्ट भी किया कि अभी 10 मिनट ही थोड़ा लेट हुआ है.
I reached the Ahmedabad city on time, but because of the traffic, I was 5 minutes late to the airport. I was not allowed to enter the airport. At first, I was worried about losing the money I spent on my ticket and possibly losing my job. But now, I am grateful. I may have lost money, but I saved my life.
इसलिए मुझे रिटर्न होना पड़ा था.
British investigators who arrived to assist with the investigation have also begun their inquiries into the crash. About 28 hours after the crash, Indian aircraft from the Air Accident Investigation Bureau recovered a black box from the upper floor of the collapsed building where the plane crashed. The Minister of Civil Aviation of India also confirmed that the digital flight data recorder was found by investigators. Experts say this development could accelerate the investigation.
What you just saw was the 2021 Express Pearl maritime disaster, an incident that caused severe and lasting environmental damage to Sri Lanka's maritime ecosystem. Despite the scale of destruction, the country has yet to receive adequate compensation for the losses incurred. That was then. Now Sri Lanka is facing a new maritime threat, this time from beyond its territorial waters. Debris including microplastic particles from the MSC Elsa3 vessel, which sank off the coast of Kerala, India, has begun drifting into Sri Lanka's maritime zone, raising fresh environmental concerns. What impact will this latest incident have on Sri Lanka's already fragile coastline?
Traces of microplastic fragments have been discovered along several Sri Lankan coastal areas, including Jaffna, Punkuduthivu, Nedunthivu, Nainathivu, Mana, Kilinochi and Chilau, sparking renewed environmental concerns. In response, the Sri Lankan Navy, in collaboration with the Sri Lanka Air Force, has launched clean-up operations to remove the plastic and other debris that have accumulated on these affected beaches. What caused this? The pollution stems from the MSC Elsa3, a Liberia-flagged container ship that capsized on the 25th of last month after suffering water ingress. The vessel sank approximately 38 nautical miles off the coast of Kerala, India, while carrying 643 containers. Plastic debris and other waste from the ship are now drifting across the Indian Ocean, with some making landfall in Sri Lankan waters. In response to the incident, authorities in Kerala have imposed a ban on fishing within a 2-kilometer radius from the wreck site to protect local fishing communities.
We are currently in discussions with the relevant parties regarding the shipwreck and its environmental impact. They have agreed to provide compensation from the damage caused. The Marine Environmental Protection Authority has conducted an assessment and compensation is now under review in coordination with the Ministry of Environment.
Meanwhile, the Marine Environmental Protection Authority has launched an emergency hotline to report sightings of debris or waste washed ashore. Members of the public are encouraged to report such incidents via the hotline 1949. The Sea of Sri Lanka, the treasure that surrounds the pearl. 8 times our land territory. The Sea of Sri Lanka holds our future. It holds our potential. Let's protect what is ours. Let's call it what it is. The Sea of Sri Lanka.
President Anurakumar Dissanayake met with the Sri Lankan community residing in Germany during his official visit to the country.
Sri Lankans residing in Germany organized a meeting with President Anurakumar Dissanayake. Sri Lankan businessmen, investors and professionals participated in the meeting, where the President received a warm welcome. Addressing the Sri Lankan community, the President said that everyone must work together towards building a prosperous nation. The President also appreciated the contributions of Sri Lankans living abroad and noted that a steady beginning has been made to rebuild the collapsed state.
A part of the people's responsibility has now been fulfilled. They have handed over the power of the country to us. But there is more to be done. Now we bear the responsibility as rulers. However, the citizens also have a responsibility, one that will determine how we move forward as a nation. We are a nation that has taken loans but failed to repay them, a bankrupt nation. Such a country cannot even begin to think about embarking on a new economic journey. That is why we had to engage in discussions. In December last year, we reached an agreement with our creditors. We successfully completed our debt restructuring program. That marked a pivotal point for our economy. We are no longer a country that evades debt repayment. Instead, we now have a structured agreement with our creditors outlining how repayments will take place. We have also requested relief. Is that good or bad? I believe this is a turning point for our economy. Without it, we cannot even imagine an economic future. Why? Because if we continue to avoid our debt obligations, we will remain a bankrupt nation. As of December, we are officially free of that burden.
Meanwhile, the president met with German Federal Minister for Economic Cooperation and Development, Reem Alebali Radovan, yesterday afternoon for discussions. The discussion focused on the shared economic challenges both countries face in the context of emerging global economic trends. The two sides engaged in a comprehensive dialogue on potential areas for further strengthening economic cooperation between Sri Lanka and Germany.
Dr. Geeta Gopinath, the first Deputy Managing Director of the International Monetary Fund, is scheduled to visit Sri Lanka. This visit is significant as it marks the first time since 2005 that a serving first Deputy Managing Director of the IMF visits Sri Lanka.
During the visit, Dr. Gopinath will be the guest of honor at the conference on Sri Lanka's road to recovery, debt and governance, co-hosted by the Ministry of Finance, Central Bank of Sri Lanka and the IMF, scheduled to be held on the 16th of June. At the midpoint of the IMF-supported reform program, the conference aims to reflect upon the lessons learned from Sri Lanka's experience in restoring macroeconomic stability, implementing debt restructuring and governance reforms, and to focus on the challenges ahead. Additionally, the first Deputy Managing Director is expected to hold bilateral discussions with the Sri Lankan authorities and several key stakeholders on the IMF's engagement with Sri Lanka.
Newsfirst with the people.
Far from the city noise, under a mango tree, children turn broken desks into a stage. They sing, they dance, they try. No bright lights, no big crowds, just a small school and big dreams. Change is coming. An open-air stage for the Kattaragama Primary School. Gammatta, for the people, by the people.
We've got some fresh new young talent doing some things that I know you haven't heard before.
ඔබ වයස අවුරුදු 16ට වැඩි නම්
සුවිශේෂී නර්තන රිද්මයන්ගෙන් යුක්ත නම්
ඔබේ හැකියාව රටට පෙන්වීමට හොඳම වේදිකාවයි මේ.
ඔබ සමාජිකයන් 15 අතර කණ්ඩායමක් සමගින් අදම අයදුම් කරන්න.
Sirasa Dancing Star.
නිෂ්පාදක සිරස ඩාන්සිං ස්ටාර් තැපැල් පෙටිය 100 රත්මලාන. WhatsApp 071
Bringing you the latest update on today's weather conditions from the Newsfirst Weather Center is Vinuji Senaviratna.
The Met Department says that heavy falls of about 100 millimeters are likely at some places in the western and Sabaragamuwa provinces and in Nuwara, Kandy, Galle, Matara and Putlam districts. Meanwhile, several spells of showers will occur in the northern province and in Anuradhapura district. Showers or thunder showers may occur at a few places in Uva province and in Ampara and Batticaloa districts during the afternoon or night. Strong winds of about 50 to 60 kilometers per hour can be expected at times over western slopes of the central hills and in northern, north central, Sabaragamuwa, northwestern and southern provinces and in Trincomalee district.
The Department of Meteorology has issued a red alert advising the fishing and naval communities to refrain from sailing in the sea areas from Chilau to Kankasanture via Putlam and Mana, as well as from Galle to Pothubil via Hambantota until further notice. The advisory comes in light of strong winds and rough sea conditions, with wind speeds in the affected areas expected to reach 60 to 70 kilometers per hour. Meanwhile, 3 sluice gates of the Polgola Reservoir have been opened. The engineer in charge of the dam said that each gate has been opened to a width of 2 feet. As a result, the Department of Irrigation has urged those using the Mahavali River from below the dam to the Victoria Reservoir to remain cautious and vigilant.
You're with News First, and up next is Crime Watch.
A
charred body has been found in a three-wheeler on the beach at Kammal Thotupala Kochikade, Negombo. This was discovered following a tip-off from the local residents to the police. The body, which was discovered in the backseat of the three-wheeler, was severely charred along with the vehicle. The deceased was unrecognizable. The police said that the body is suspected to be that of Jayantha Pushpa Kumara, a police sergeant driver in the Negombo Division Criminal Investigation Unit. He is a 56-year-old resident of Dalupatha, Negombo. An investigation into the incident is currently underway. An individual was murdered in Venapur, Ulhitiava South, and a van that was in the house was stolen. The police said that the victim who was murdered was a 64-year-old resident of Mudukatua in Maravilla. The CCTV cameras recorded the van being stolen in this manner. The residents of the said house live in Italy, while the murdered individual has been working there as a security guard. The police said that a relative of the homeowners visited the house and discovered the security guard dead in one of the rooms with his hand and feet tied. They also noticed that the van which had been parked in the garage was missing and reported the matter to the police. In a clash between two groups in Valpula Ragama, one young man was killed and 3 others were injured. The police said that a group of people broke into the house in Valpula last night and attacked the father and 2 sons with sharp weapons. Police investigations have revealed that the conflict arose over financial dispute. The victim was a 26-year-old man. One individual from the group that carried out the attack was also wounded, while all those involved are now undergoing treatment at the Ragama hospital.
Acting Minister of Defence of Sri Lanka, retired Major General Aruna Jayasekara, paid an official visit to the Turkish Navy corvette TCG Bayukada, currently docked in Sri Lanka, reaffirming the growing defence cooperation between the two nations.
Acting Minister of Defence, retired Major General Aruna Jayasekara, visited the Turkish Navy ship TCG Bayukada. He was warmly welcomed on board by the Ambassador of Turkey to Sri Lanka, Semih Lutfu Turgut, and the ship's commanding officer, Lieutenant Commander Anul Bilgin. The Turkish envoy appreciated the commitment of Sri Lanka on maintaining regional stability, and he stressed the importance of maintaining bilateral relationships between two nations. Addressing the gathering, Major General Jayasekara highlighted the significance of the Turkish Navy ship's presence in Sri Lankan waters as a symbol of growing defence cooperation and friendship, as well as the reaffirmation of the increasing defence collaboration between Sri Lanka and Turkey. He lauded Turkey's consistent support in modernising Sri Lanka's naval capabilities and reiterated the shared vision of both nations for a free and open Indo-Pacific region. The acting minister also embarked on a guided tour on board the ship, accompanied by the ship's commanding officer. Retired commanders of the Sri Lankan Navy, senior naval officers, Turkish defence officials and diplomatic representatives were also present at the occasion.
The induction ceremony of the CAMA Sri Lanka President and Council for 2025 to 2027 took place last night.
The induction ceremony of the President and Council members for the term 2025-2027 of the Institute of Certified Management Accountants of Sri Lanka was held last night. The event was attended by key stakeholders, institute members and a host of distinguished guests.
Across the nation, talents and dreams are ready to shine. Introducing new faces and extraordinary performances from every corner. We proudly present some of the finest rising stars.
Duffy Crown Season 2.
7th onwards, every Saturday and Sunday at 8:30 p.m. only on Shakti TV.
With your name, your unique talent, your phone number. To Sri Lanka's Got Talent PO Box 100 Ratmalana or WhatsApp us on 076 599 7788.
For the first time in history, South Africa has claimed the ICC Test Cricket World Championship title. They achieved this landmark victory by defeating the defending champions Australia in the final of the 2025 ICC Test Cricket World Championship. While South Africa has had reached several major finals in the past, this triumph marks their first ever Cricket World Championship win, a defining moment in the nation's sporting history. The third edition of the ICC Test Cricket World Championship, which kicked off in June 2023, brought together 9 of the world's most elite cricketing nations in the battle for global supremacy. After 2 years of intense and closely contested matches, South Africa and Australia rose to the top, earning their place in the much-anticipated grand finale. The historic final unfolded at the iconic Lord's Cricket Ground, where South Africa won the toss and elected to field first. Australia struggled to gain momentum against South Africa's relentless pace attack and were dismissed for 212 runs in their first innings. Kagiso Rabada led the charge with a brilliant 5-wicket performance, setting the tone early. In reply, South Africa found themselves on the back foot as the Lord's surfers continued to favour bowlers. The Proteas were bowled out for just 138 runs, with Australian captain Pat Cummins delivering a world-class performance, claiming 6 wickets.
Beautifully bowled, outside edge.
With a lead of 74 runs, Australia began their second innings aiming to consolidate. However, they were once again undone by Rabada and his fellow pacers, managing only 207 runs. Rabada starred once more, taking 4 crucial wickets. South Africa was set a challenging target of 282 runs for victory. Openers Aidan Markham and Ryan Rickleton began the chase, but the side was reduced to 70 for 2 early on. Then came a game-changing partnership between skipper Temba Bavuma and Markham, who added a commanding 147 runs for the third wicket. Aidan Markham anchored the innings with a magnificent 136, while Bavuma played a captain's knock, contributing 66 vital runs.
To the boundary, a magical Markham 100.
South Africa reached the target with just 5 wickets down, sealing a momentous win and securing their first ever ICC Test Cricket World Championship title. Emotions ran high on the field and in the stands as South Africa players celebrated a victory that etched their names into cricketing history. In Sri Lanka, cricket fans followed the action live on TV1 of the MTV Media Network, the official local broadcasting rights holder, and via online www.sirisatv.lk. 4 phenomenal finalists, each with unmatched vocal prowess, are taking the stage tonight, competing for the ultimate crown and a gateway to international stardom. The biggest show in Sri Lanka, The Voice Sri Lanka Season 3 Grand Finale, officially commenced at 7:30 p.m. tonight, promising an evening of unforgettable performances and world-class entertainment. We now cross over to Budbin Amaradivikara from the Newsfirst team for an exclusive update from the heart of the action.
මිනිසිලු මත පන උපදින මිනිතරු මත පිපිහිනය දෙක පොල් මත රූරා යන මේ හොඳයි අහසටද
Sri Lanka, the World Sri Lanka Grand Finale.
Zombie again. One, two, three, four. I'm making you.
Upside, inside out, swivel the feet down on car. Push and pull you down, swivel the feet down on car.
Yes, we are reporting to you from the grandest and grandest of stages, the grand finale of Voice Sri Lanka Season 3, the biggest show in Sri Lanka. 4 voices, 4 teams, 4 finalists. Who will be the champion is a question that Sri Lanka is having right now. Will it be from Team Hiroshi? Will it be from Team Raini? Will it be from Team Mihidu? Or will it be from Team Supun is a question as well. So the 4 finalists performed really well. The electron performances electrified the stage, and also the crowd, as you can hear right now, it's thrilling, it's entertaining, as they're having a great time here at the Stand Studios in Ratmalana. So the question is, who will be that international voice who will be taking Sri Lanka to the world map? Will it be from Team Raini? Will it be from Team Supun? The question is there. So we will get to know the winner and the champion of this year's grand finale of the Voice Sri Lanka Season 3. This was a season which had a lot of viral performances, where we saw a lot of performances going viral on social media. So who will be the champion? So tonight we will see the crowning of the champion of the Sri Lanka's grandest, the biggest show in Sri Lanka, the Voice Sri Lanka Grand Finale Season 3. Reporting to you, I am Budnamara Divakara for Newsfirst.
Thank you, Budmin. We invite you to witness and be part of this world-class musical experience by simply tuning into Sirasa TV. With that, we wrap up news for tonight. Thank you for joining us. Good night.